welcome to SaiTechnical Learning. So let's start with the part 7 of HTML for beginners. So in part 6 we have discussed about how to develop responsive web design in simple way. So let's start with the forms in HTML. So an HTML form is used to collect user input. The user input can be sent to the server for the further processing. So the HTML form tag which is used to create an HTML form, and it has the following syntax. For example, here we have the form followed by the attribute, that is action equals to script URL. So here you have to write the URL of the particular page on which you want to send the content of that particular form, followed by the method which is equals to get or post here. So you can use the get method as well as the post method for sending the data to particular URL. And finally we need to close that particular form tag. Form attributes in HTML. So here we have different types of form attributes. So first one, that is action. So action, that is the back-end script ready to process your past data. Second one, that is the method which is to be used to upload the data. Third one, that is target, which specify the target window or the frame where the result of script will be displayed. So it takes the value like blank, self, parent, etc. And fourth one, that is ENC type. So you can use the ENC type attribute to specify how the browser encodes the data before it sends to the server. Next one, that is input element. So input element is the most important form element. So with the help of input element, it is used to display in several ways. So depending on the type of attributes, like here we have different types of attributes like text, second one radio, and third one, that is submit. So when we used the input type is equals to text, that means it defines a single line text input field. Similarly, when you define input type is equals to radio, that means it defines the radio button. That means for selecting one of the many choice. And for type is equals to submit, which defines the submit button for submitting the content of form. Next one, that is the label element. So the label tag defines a label for many form elements. So the label element is useful for screen render users. The label elements also help the users who have difficulty clicking on very small regions. For example, you can use the label elements like label tag space for equals to fname. For example, for which actually input type or input name you are going to use that particular label, followed by the name of label, that is first name, and at last we required to close that particular label. Next one, that is radio buttons. So for adding radio button, we simply required input type is equals to radio. So it defines a radio button. Similarly, we can use the ID for the radio as well as we can use the name and the value for the radio button. Next one, that is submit button. So for that we require type is equals to submit, which defines the button for submitting the form data to be or to a form handler. So form handler is specified in the form's action attribute like input space type is equals to submit and value is equals to submit. So this is how we can create the submit button. Next one, that is select element. So the select tag is defined as a drop down list. So if you want to create the drop down list, then we require the select tag. So how to create drop down? First, select space ID for that particular tag and the name for the tag. So here we have used name, that is fruit. And if you want to add the values for the drop down, we require option tag. So here we have used option tag space value equals to mango, and this particular mango value will be displayed to the user, and we have to close the option tag, and for each value we need to add option tag, and finally we need to close the select tag. So here the option element defines an option that can be selected, and by default the first item in the drop down list to be selected. So here the by default first item will be selected by default, and if you want to select the apple as a by default value, then we require selected attribute over here. So we required option space value is equals to apple space selected, so automatically the selected value becomes apple. Next one, that is text area element. So here it defines a multi-line input field. For example, if you want to add certain types of comments or you want to add the address field, then you can use the text area. So for that you require text area tag followed by the attribute, that is name is equals to title, rows and columns. So the rows attributes specify the visible number of lines in the text area, while the column attributes specify the visible width of the text area. Next one, that is the button element. So the button tag is used with the type is equals to button. So this is how we can create the button. We can also apply the event like on click event. So when user clicked on the particular button, certain kinds of functions will be executed. So here we are adding the name, that is click me for the particular button. Next one, that is field set and legend elements. So with the help of field set we can use to group related data in the form, and with the help of legend element we can define the caption for that particular group. So here we have created one group with the help of field set, and we are providing the name for that particular group or caption for the particular group, that is SaiTechnical learning. So here we are grouping these elements with the caption SaiTechnical learning. Next one, that is action attribute. So the action attribute defines the action to be performed when the form is submitted. That means when you clicked on the submit button, the content of web page will be moved to that particular URL, that is the action. Similarly, the last one, that is the target attribute. So the target attribute specify if the submitted result will be open in new browser or tab or a frame or in a current window. So by default the value is underscore self. That means the form will be submitted in the current window. But if you want to open the particular form in new window, then you require target is equals to underscore blank. Next one, that is method attribute. So method attributes specify the HTTP method like get method or post method that is to be used when submitting the form data. So there are number of difference between get and post methods. So with the help of get method you can send the limited number of data, while with the help of post method you can send unlimited data. And if you want to send the sensitive informations, then you can use the post method instead of get method for the security purpose. Next one, that is input types. So we are having the number of input types for the particular HTML. So here we have the buttons, checkbox, colors, date. We can use the emails, files, hidden, images, the password, radio, reset, submit, etc. So let's start with the example or demonstration how it actually works. So here we have the one file which is having the title SaiTechnical learning, and here we have created one style sheet, that style that is for the legend tag. Similarly, we have created one class, and again we have created the CSS for the input tag. So here you can see that we have created or we have used the field set. That means we are grouping the elements and we are providing the name, that is legend. Inside that is your address. That means the name of this particular group, that is your address. Now inside that what we are doing, the label for is equals to first name. That means for first name we are providing the label, that is first name, that means here. So here for input ID f name we have the for first name over here. Similarly, we have created another text box. Similarly, we have created for the street and city as well. Now one field set is over, so we have close that field set. Again we have opened another field set with the legend, that is additional details, and inside that we have created one text area. We have created one type file, that means if we want to upload certain kinds of image, then we require type is equals to file. Similarly, we have created one drop down, that is age group, and we have certain values like 0 to 9, 10 to 19, etc. Similarly, we have created one radio button. Similarly, another one, that is the checkbox. We have created checkbox for fruits as well. Then we have created another field set, that is interest. So for interest, again we have created the label for hobbies, and we have created select ID hobbies, and here we have used multiple. That means inside the drop down we can select the multiple option or multiple value. Same thing for the car as well. Again we have used the drop down, that is Volvo, SSAB, Mercedes and Audi. And same thing again for the transport as well. So let's see how it works actually. So here we can say that first, that is the title, then second we have created the field set, and inside field set we have used the legend, that is your address, and we have created 4 text box with its name. Now next, that is additional details, where we have created text area, then one file choosing type, then drop down. So drop down we have created over here. Then again we have created the radio buttons, we have created the checkbox as well, and here we have used the type, that is date. So here automatically the date pop-up will be open. Now next, that is hobbies. So here in hobbies we can select the multiple values in drop down. Similarly, here we have created a drop down with its certain types of groups. Similarly, for the last one, again we have created the drop down with groups, but here we can select the multiple values. So this is all about the forms in HTML.